Okay. Okay, wonderful. Thank you everybody for joining us. Everybody who joined. My name is Joss, and I am part of the team at Startup Bootcamp. And today we are going to be having, I don't know if I can call it a fireside or masterclass or just a presentation on marketing and how we have seen what we have seen working for the founders that we work with. So there's going to be a lot of examples that I'm going to be provided as we go. And yeah, so I guess we can start. We can get started. There's a big room, so I can't ask everybody to introduce themselves. But I know you're all founders and you are in different sectors, which is good. Because then we can, when it's time for questions, maybe you guys will provide a lot more clarity on what you do as companies. If you do want, you can put your name and your company details, like maybe a short elevator pitch in the chat box, so that at least I can know who I'm speaking to. So you can just say, hi, my name is dash dash, and this is what our company does. Because then that would really help me understand what you guys do. But yeah, so I think to start things off, I will talk about, okay, me. Can everybody hear me clearly? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, good. So my name is Joss, and as I said, I'm the head of marketing and storytelling at Startup Bootcamp. So a lot of people ask me a lot about the storytelling side of things. And so the storytelling side of things is where, in addition to helping startups market themselves, I also help them tell their stories better in terms of pitching for investment or pitching to whatever audience that they need to pitch to. So yeah, that's me as Joss. And yes, hi Safe, founder of Beyond Shop, an e-commerce platform. Oh, women's bags. Wonderful. That's really cool. Okay. So what Startup Bootcamp is? Startup Bootcamp is also a partner for the program that you're working with. So we are Startup Bootcamp Afritech. So this is the Africa side of Startup Bootcamp. So we're still part of the global family. And we started out as the very first multi-corporate backed startup accelerator in 2017. And so what we do is we run accelerator programs across the continent, sector agnostic. Very exciting insights is that 95% of our startups are still operational, which is very exciting. And we also have an aggregate valuation of over $1 billion, and 22% of our founders are female. So that's also a very interesting and exciting statistic on our part. If you'd like to know more, you can go to our Startup Bootcamp website. We're there on the Startup Bootcamp global website, as well as the startupbootcampafritech.com, where there's more information around what we do as a company. And so these are some of our alumni. So we have quite a lot of really prolific companies in terms of Africa. So companies like Kuda Bank, we also have Lula, their mobility company based here in South Africa. We have Rentosa. I will delve into some of the companies as we go in the presentation. But yeah, so we have quite a lot of really exciting companies. To date, we have accelerated about 70 companies, and we're still going. Very excited about the work that we do. Agri-tech is also very important to us. Climate tech is also very important. And so today, what we're going to do, we are going to discuss why marketing is important. We're going to discuss some marketing strategies that we have come across, and we're going to discuss the importance of your target audience, your brand story, and how to leverage social media. And we're going to delve a bit into growth hacking. But I think the growth hacking is going to be a separate session that might be had a bit later. And then how to measure your marketing success as well, because I know a lot of founders struggle with this, and how to market on a budget. So if you're only here to find out how to market on a budget, you'll have to stay until we finish everything to discuss that. But also very important for you guys to understand is the importance of marketing. So it's the lifeblood of your startup, honestly. A lot of people really downplay the importance of marketing, but for you to actually get to product market fit, you need to go out there, right, and market your products to whichever customers that you potentially think would need your service. So marketing is a very critical part of things. And because we know that a lot of founders start out bootstrapping, it's also very important to find ways to market your product without spending so much money, because you might not even have any marketing spend as a company. So in terms of why marketing matters, it helps build brand awareness, and it also increases your credibility as a company, especially to potential investors and customers. And it helps you connect with the right audience, because I think a lot of the time people waste money reaching out to people who don't need their services. So when you're marketing and you're really segmenting your audience, you get to target the right people, and that helps you get more conversions. Marketing also drives sales and fosters growth for your company, which is what we ultimately want, right? And so that's what's very important about marketing. And so there's different strategies that people utilize when it comes to marketing. Digital marketing is a very integral part of things, because traditional marketing is very expensive. I don't know in Bangladesh or in Asia where you guys operate, how it is. But for us here down in Africa, it's very, very expensive to do traditional marketing. Because then you'll need a lot of people on your team, and you need a lot more resources. That's not just people for you to actually execute. And also there's content marketing, that's blogs, videos, and storytelling that will help you engage and inform your audience. Influencer partnerships, this is where you might need to use a bit of money, or to sell, to give people your product for free, where you're leveraging your micro influencers for credibility. And also paid ads. So paid ads is also an efficient way of targeting the right audience. But I think the top parts, the digital marketing, SEO, social media, and email marketing is a very crucial part of things, especially when you want to do everything on a budget. We will talk a bit more about this as we go. And so this is where I start giving you a bit of examples of what has happened in our portfolio. So I think the first step for you to market is to actually define your target audience, right? Because you need to know who your user profile is. I believe in creating a whole buyer persona, one person that you believe, okay, this is the epitome of what we're doing. We're building this specific product for one person. This might be Joss. So we're building the specific product for Joss. Joss is 35, she's female, she loves staying indoors, watching Netflix, and she usually just plays with her dog and her daughter. Like, you have to know everything about your client for you to be able to know what problem or product you are going to create for them. So it's always really good to have the human-centered design when you're building your company. And so that's where the marketing comes to play, because now you are thinking, okay, this human, what is she going to need? So where's the best place for us to reach Joss if we want her to see our product? So if Joss is the right customer, where is she? So I think one key company that has managed to do this for us in our portfolio is a company called Neuro Labs. So they are based in Kenya, and they have developed a product that diagnoses a lot of the diseases that affect people, that take long to get diagnosed, or the diagnosis process may take days. For Neuro Labs, it takes a few minutes. And so what they have done is they've identified that their key customer is radiologists. So not hospitals, but the radiologists themselves. And so they base their marketing tactic. Their marketing tactic is always designed to reach out to the radiologists first, because then that's where the conversions are going to come. If the radiologist then influences the hospital to buy their product, then wonderful. But they have honed in on their customer persona, who is the radiologist, who normally takes maybe 2, 3, 4 days to make one diagnosis, and now they can take a few minutes. So it's really cuts time for them. So yeah, Neural Labs has really managed to do that well. And then when it comes to, okay, something's going on with my clicker. Oh, yes, I think, okay, cool. So then a key thing, as I said, remember I mentioned that I am the head of storytelling and marketing. So I believe that we are always telling stories. So stories are more relatable as opposed to a lot of technical jargon that a lot of founders like using when they're describing their product. So when you're marketing, it's very important for you to be relatable. And the best way to be relatable is to tell a story, because that way people can follow the conversation. So as you'll see, the note on the side of this document talks about how whether you're trying to win a deal or to land A-level talent or close huge venture capital rounds, you are never going to succeed solely because your company looks good on paper. It's about what you say, right? So a key component of marketing is your copy, is what your story is going to be, because that also connects with people on a higher emotional level. And it makes you memorable, because people are always going to remember if your product pulls at their heartstrings, right? So it's always very important for you to try to tell a story when you're talking about your product. And storytelling obviously simplifies the complex messages that really exist when you're building a company that is innovative and all of that. It takes away the technicalities and focuses on the important things that people want. And a company that has done that on our portfolio, that seems to have done that well when it comes to telling their story, is a company called Grocery. They're based out of Nigeria. And they sell food at a wholesale price, and their target market is the low-income earners. And they managed to get the attention of companies like CNN just based on their story. And yeah, so that is that on the storytelling side of things. And then very important thing, because you don't have a budget when you're marketing your products, better to utilize social media, because then social media can be your best friend, and it can help you reach more customers at a less cost. So in terms of platforms, so it's very important for you to pick the right platforms when you're telling your story. And platforms like TikTok, I don't know where people in Bangladesh are mostly, or where the people that you're targeting are mostly, but places like TikTok, places like Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're a very serious product, always make sure that you're creating content that is engaging on that specific platform. I'm sorry, let me just silence my dog. Oh, I think she's getting quiet. Oh. Sorry about that. So in terms of social media, as I was saying, there's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of these are very important platforms to help you get customers and reach your audiences better. And the other thing about social media is, because people's attention spans are very low, generally, now that we live in an age where there's so much media content to consume. So in your marketing strategy, you also need to create engaging and shareable content. So things like videos, infographics, and stories really help. And the other thing that you really need to do is also ties back to the relatability side of things, is building a community. So when you build a community, those people are going to be your biggest proponents. So remember, every time that you are out there with your product, you're trying to sell it. And anyone who sells it on your behalf is part of your community, and they're people that you need to actually hold dear, right? So when you're building a community, you are making yourself also accessible to these people who love your product or who are giving good reviews on your product. And that community are going to be advocates for you in the end. And a company that has done that. So I feel like Her Economy is a Nigerian startup as well. They are a bank for women. So they started out as a community of women giving each other tips on how to save, and eventually they built a savings platform for women. But in addition to that, they also offer discounts from specific shops. So, for example, I think, say, if you did mention that you have a product for bags. And so when you look at that, if you were in Nigeria, Her Economy would be a good platform to partner with, because then your customers would be on the Her Economy platform already. And then that community of customers can easily get discounts that are only exclusive to them. So those exclusive discounts have really built a large network and a community of users. And fun fact about Her Economy is she raised 600,000 in I think in a day in 2021 when she was doing the Startup Bootcamp program. And a huge chunk of that money came from her community. So the community actually invested in a startup, and they are now shareholders in her company. So that's how well she has marketed. And even if you go on social media, the founder herself is very big on social media. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and she really markets her product well as a lifestyle brand. So doing that is also very, very good. Okay, I'm looking at the comments as well. Yes, Safe says young audiences are available on TikTok in Bangladesh, and at Facebook, almost all age groups are available. Yes. So that's a very interesting, that's very good insight. Thank you so much for telling me that. But yes, so if you're reaching young audiences, you're supposed to build for them, right? So I think one of the key challenges that comes with marketing is the amount of content you need to produce and disseminate. Because as a founder, obviously you're trying to build and your team is very lean, and some people might have the marketing function, they might have the business development function, and it's hard to strike a balance when it comes to that. But there's also the good thing about social media is there's some tools that help you when it comes to managing and scheduling your content. That way you can always be sharing content even though you're not physically there. And there's also bots that help you respond. So it's very, very important. And it's also a very key insight and the key thing to understand when it comes to building content on social media. And then when it comes to growth hacking, so growth hacking is very important because, as we said, sometimes as a startup, you do not have the budget, right? So you are looking for quick solutions or quick innovative ways for you to actually test out your product and then build based on the insights that you've gotten. So growth hacking is a key thing when it comes to marketing as well, because then that way you are creating things that end up, you're using data-driven methods to reach the audiences that you need to and make them your customers, right? And so examples of things like that, referral programs like Dropbox, there's things that also help when it comes to creating viral content. And it's always I think a key component of growth hacking is your ability to test and iterate until you find what works, and then you stick with that, or maybe you put money on what is working. which is what a company called Akiba Digital has managed to do. So Akiba is a South African startup that was part of our portfolio in 2019. And they really used growth hacking to help them figure out who's the best audience for them. And now they are really targeted on that specific audience. And then when it comes to measuring your marketing success, so even as a company at Startup Bootcamp ourselves, we had to test out various methods when it comes to this. But a key thing to start with is to figure out what your KPIs are, one, and then things like website traffic, conversion rates, customer engagement, and then use specific tools to get those KPIs. Because if you haven't if you haven't created tools that can help you track what specific thing the specific things you want to track, it might be very hard to find the content that you need. And yeah, so obviously it's also very important to regularly analyze and adjust based on the performance that you're seeing on the tools that you have adopted. And an example of a company that has managed to do that is Survey 54. So now they're called Safio. They're a Ghanaian company, one of our portfolio companies as well. So they also they offer insights. So they're already in the business of insights, and so they have managed to really track how their company is doing through the tools that they're using for their customers as well. And then when it comes to marketing on a budget, as we said, social media, email marketing. I think email marketing needs a whole session on its own of do's and don'ts, because there's quite a lot of things that people get wrong when it comes to email marketing. And a lot of the time, a lot of us feel like we're being spammed by messages. So it's always it's also very important for you to be very strategic when it comes to email marketing. And then there's a lot of free tools out there. Canva is a firm favorite. MailChimp. There's also another tool called Brivo that does newsletters, and Google Analytics. So these tools can help you really build a good base for your marketing strategy. So I do have a few examples of companies that have done that well. We'll start with the Startup Bootcamp Global Alumni, a company called Revolut. They are from London. And so what they did in terms of case studies, Revolut relied heavily on referral marketing and a waitlist strategy. So that created a lot of buzz, and they didn't spend a lot of money on paid advertising, and they have grown into a very incredible company. And they also grew their brand on social media. So you can use multiple avenues at the same time. And they also did PR and partnerships that helped them. They were collaborating with influencers and also using word of mouth. I think your biggest marketing tool is a happy customer. So if you have a happy customer, they're going to tell everybody else about your product. So they're a very big marketing tool, and I think they're the biggest influencers that are out there. And then another company, this is a specific Startup Bootcamp Afrotech alumni called Kuda Bank. So they relied heavily on social media platforms. They're the very first neobank in Nigeria. And they use Twitter and Instagram to build a strong community of users. And up until now, they also use social media to respond to queries or to tell people about the products, the new products that they have. And so they didn't really rely on traditional advertising, because remember, they are very tech products, and the traditional forms of advertising would have reached customers who would not be able to access their resources anyway. So I think it was a really good idea for them to actually target the younger demographic before targeting the older demographic. So Kuda Bank did that quite well. And then there's PiggyVest. I don't know why there's a lot of fintech companies in my presentation. But PiggyVest also they really utilize social media, and they engage with their audience. They constantly share financial literacy tips. So having a content calendar is also something that will help you market your product well, because sometimes you don't want to be hard selling. Sometimes you just want to give your customers some tips, and those tips will keep you on top of mind to them. And so that's what PiggyVest has managed to do. They share financial literacy tips. They also do success stories and interactive content. Word of mouth also very important, and user referrals. They're also a key driver of their growth as a company. There's also a Kenyan company called Trigger Foods. So they are unique in that their product is more inclined to low income communities who hardly use the internet as much as the two previous products I shared. So for them, their solution was different when it comes to their marketing strategy. So what they did is they directly engaged with small-scale farmers and informal vendors through in-person demonstrations and training. So this can be a lot more costly, but it's more rewarding in that they actually targeted the customers that they really needed. So the people who needed their services are the people that they had access to. And so obviously they had to simplify their supply chain, and they managed to do that as well. But yeah, so I think those are the examples I have. I didn't want this to be a session where I talk and talk and talk and talk. So we don't have that much to talk about in terms of marketing. I would rather have you guys ask me questions. That way it can be a really interactive session, and it can be more more targeted. The support that I give you can be more targeted based on that. But yeah, so those are the case studies I had, and those are some of the marketing insights that I wanted to share. I see MD has, so now it's time for Q&A. I see MD has a question here. Can you please clarify? Maybe you can you can give me, I'm struggling to understand the question a bit. So if you can unmute and ask the question, that would be really great.
Hi.
Hi,
Thank
MD.
you.
You're welcome.
Yes, how are you? I say in Bangladesh, we have low budget. This can make helpful for marketing.
Yes. So the tactics that I was sharing with you are more helpful for a low budget, because then you are not using the traditional methods of marketing. You know how when you are selling your product and you have a lot of money, you go to a TV station and create a TV advert, and that's very expensive. So if you want to do things that don't cost you too much money, it would be easier to open a Facebook page or a LinkedIn, or have wherever your customers are, just use those tools that are already available, and then you market to them through those channels. Because yeah, that would be low budget. Of course, you might need to boost your posts and all of that, but the cost implication there is lower compared to the traditional ways of marketing.
Yes, understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wonderful. Any other questions?
Hello, ma'am. I would like to ask a question.
Yes, hi.
This is Rashid. Um, my startup name is Skills. It's a tech company which I'm planning to start. So the question I want to ask you is that in case of social marketing, what are the ethical and legal things we should keep in mind while posting an ad or some ad or campaign?
Okay, yes, that's a very good question. Very good
Yes.
question. So I think, especially when it comes to EdTech, that's a very essential question, because sometimes you want to post people's children and you don't have permission, and then your ad gets taken down. So there is the rules that come with specific platforms. So for example, on Facebook, they have specific rules, and they will give you those rules. When you open your ad account, they will give you rules. And when they reject an advert, they give you a reason for the rejection. But before we get to that, those free tools that are highlighted, some of them have stock images. So there's also platforms that offer free stock imagery that you won't need to give credit. But there's some, if you want to use specific images, there's some specific images that are copyrighted that you actually need to give credit to whoever created those images on the pay or on whatever advert you're making. So first tip, always make sure you take a look at the terms and conditions of whatever advert you're creating. And when you're creating an ad, make sure that you use visuals that are permissible, visuals that are allowed for you to use, because there's a lot of copyright infringement that will be flagged, and then your advert will not get as much attention as an advert that doesn't have all of that working against it. I don't know if that helps. If anyone else has tips also, this is also a very open platform. It's not just Joss knows all. If you have questions, that would be, if you have answers as well, if you want to add, because you know the Bangladesh context more than I do. I'm just giving a general, in my experience when working with Africa, working with global, there's some things that we've also learned. Yes, Mohammed, can you please add something?
Well, hi, Josh. Thanks for your wonderful session. It was nice. I have understood lots of things from you. As you said, the answer of that, Mr. Rashid, regarding Facebook policies and other things, there is a free course on Blueprint Facebook. Then they can learn from there. I have done that before. There's I'm just adding that there was a policy and other things which you can use, which post you can't use. Those things are there. So Mr. Rashid and others can look at that. The blueprint from Facebook. You can search in Google blueprint.facebook.com. Probably this is the link. So this is what I'm gonna I wanted to add. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. That's actually a good point. I think as a founder also, you need to be an infinite learner. So you're always having to learn new skills. There's also, yes, Blueprint, Facebook Blueprint. I've done courses on that one. Also with the SEO and Google Ads, there's a digital marketing course that Google offers that can also help you, and it's also free. So it's a free digital marketing course that will give you all the basics you need when it comes to marketing your product on Google, or optimizing whatever product you have on those kind of platforms. Okay, anyone else with additions or questions?
Joss, maybe I can just jump in. So, greetings, everyone. This is Philip. I'm part of the Startup Bootcamp team. So, we have been, as Joss was sharing about our Startup Bootcamp, we've been doing this for a long time in the African context, and there are a lot of similarities in terms of it being a not having the same kind of budgets or audiences or income levels that kind of first world countries have. But yeah, so I wanted to share, or maybe just add some commentary on things that Jocelyn was adding before. She mentioned that the use of some of these various techniques, and one of them that was really exciting that she talked about was when her economy raised capital from its own customers. And I just wanted to share a little bit more about how they did that, because I think this was a very exceptional example of using really clever marketing. So she had built up a really strong, loyal user base. where her customers just were tremendous, were very, very active in. She built a community of fans, and the people really, really believed in the value of what they offered. And so when she went out and you know, a lot of times when companies are raising money, they don't publicly talk about that with their customers. You know, that's like a private thing. But she just happened to mention at one point that she was going to do, instead of going out directly to her customers and saying, "Hey, I'm raising money. Do you want to invest?" What she said was, because they were a fintech product, you know, and she was helping some of her customers to learn about financial management and other tools. She said, "Hey, we are we've gone through the fundraising process, and we've learned some really interesting things, and we're going to hold a webinar on what we've learned." And so the session was actually presented as a, "Hey, we just want to share with you what we're up to," and it was almost more of like an educational session, like a workshop. And but all of her fans, or you know, many of her customers signed up because they said, "Wait, you're raising money?" Like, and it was, "Yeah, we appreciate the information you're giving us, but can we also invest?" And so it was almost like she wasn't asking for money at all, but they wanted to get in on the deal. They wanted to, you know, people wanted to, they were coming to her and trying to ask if they could invest. And so then she said, "Okay, well, if there's anybody that does want to invest, you know, then you can send me an email." And her email box got absolutely flooded. And so they then had to create a waiting list. So she basically turned it into like you were lucky if you got in on the deal. And so that's just, you know, a bit of a technique and some context as to when Josh said that, you know, they raised all this money in one day. It's because she started earlier with a bit more of like a webinar, and she kind of built up almost like a waiting list. And on the topic of waiting list, I also wanted to share with you what Kuda Bank did when they did their product launch. They started going out to customers long before they actually launched their product. And they said, "Look, you know, we're going to be opening a new wallet." I mean, eventually it became a bank, but the first feature they launched was just a wallet because they were still waiting on their banking license to come through. And they said, "You know, we've got some cool features, and we're going to be launching this wallet with a very limited set of features, and you know, we have a waiting list." You know, so that the day it's open, anybody that's on the waiting list can get in, can be the first in the door, right? They'll be the first ones to actually be able to use the app. And by the time they launched the product, they had 30,000 people sitting on a waiting list. So what was really cool was that when we went to pitch investors for the first round, even though they hadn't launched the product and they didn't have any actual users, they were able to say to investors, "Yeah, but we have 30,000 people that are already that are doing whatever they can to get the product." So we have 30,000 people on our waiting list, and the investors viewed that as a very strong validation that, you know, that these guys must be doing something right. And then that's when they wanted to potentially invest in the company. So, you know, it's two different examples of techniques, but they were very, very low cost. I mean, in the case of her economy, you know, she didn't have to market at all because they were already her existing customers. So it was just messaging to her existing customers. And in the case of Kuda, when people were they also spent effectively no money on the marketing, because when they opened up the waiting list, they said, "Look, we're not going to start marketing until we actually have our product launch." So the waiting list was just something that people started to hear about, and then they told their friends, they're like, "Oh, get on the waiting list," right? Because they're not even going to start marketing, but once they start marketing, then everybody's going to be queued up. So if you want to get in first, you have to be on this waiting list. So it almost became like a viral marketing thing where people that were on the waiting list were marketing it to other people to get on the waiting list. And so that was another kind of detail that that I wanted to just add in.
Thank you for that, Philip. Thank you for adding context to what we were discussing. And then there's a question here from Mahira. Given your experience, how can mental health startups effectively market their services in diverse cultural settings, including African and South Asian contexts, without stigmatizing mental health issues? So this one is a very this is a very good question, because I think the jury's still out on how to do it, but it needs to be done. I believe that there's some companies that have started marketing the benefits of taking care of your mental health. So I think the key thing that needs to happen when it comes to marketing sensitive topics like that in our communities is your messaging needs to be really respectful, but also customized in a way that doesn't stigmatize the whole conversation as well. I'm trying to think of an example of a company that has done that, because I think there's quite a few in South Africa who have managed to. So in South Africa, there has been a lot of stigma around HIV and AIDS. And there are companies that have worked on creating messaging that, instead of focuses on the illness itself, it focuses on what could be if you protected yourself from the illness, or if you already have the illness, if you started taking medication. So I think it's all about positioning and messaging when it comes to topics like that are very sensitive and stigmatized in our communities. I hope.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mahira. And then Shadman, what is the better replacement of Facebook in the near future? Maybe you can add a bit of context. A replacement of Facebook when it comes to advertising or marketing, or what context are you looking for a replacement for Facebook? Because I think as opposed to looking for a replacement for Facebook, it might be worth our while to look for other platforms that have audiences that are like Facebook audiences, maybe like WhatsApp, because a lot of people use WhatsApp on this side of the continent. I don't on this side of the world. I don't know in Bangladesh if WhatsApp is also very big like that. But WhatsApp marketing has taken a pick now. So I don't think it's a replacement. It might be something that complements all the marketing efforts that exist. Also, something that's very good when it comes to marketing, I think I forgot to mention this, using other free tools that help you create messaging. So there's tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, just having an idea of what the market would like and then customizing it for yourself. That would be great as well. That's also a good marketing tool. Okay, in terms of, yes, do you have any secret sauce for organic marketing? Have a good product. As I said before, I feel like your biggest influencers are your customers. Your first customers are your biggest influencers. So they are the ones who are going to do most of the marketing on your behalf. So share your product with everybody, and door to door is good. And the secret sauce is having a product that people love.
Yes, maybe I can just add in a little bit, but Mohammed, what is the product? Is it a physical thing, or is it a digital product, or what's the yeah, can you give us any more information about your, okay, oh, so you're the women's bag.
Use
Yeah,
the women's bag.
so maybe just, again, if you can use scarcity, like a limited version of something, so when I was talking before about these, the startups that were using these waiting lists, they highlighted the fact that, hey, there's only a few spots, right? Or if you want to be one of the first to get one of these. So if you've got the women's bag and you're like, hey, we've got a new line of women's bags that are coming out, but there's only going to be 100 of them. And if you want to be one of the 100, you can sign up on the waiting list. But your place, but if you refer other people, or if you make posts about us, on social media, and you forward those to us, or you tag us, then we can move you up in the list. Like, there's different ways. I mean, Jocelyn has a lot more of these techniques, but there's different ways that you can, kind of track how much someone is talking about your product in the social media, setting, and that can, get them extra. If you have like a lucky draw, or we're going to give away one free version of our bag, and the way that you get tickets is by making social media post, or by taking a picture of yourself with with our bag, or with an existing version of our bag, or whatever it might be. So try to come up with ways to incentivize people, and then offer them something that's rare or exclusive, or very limited, or to be one of the first to get access to your new bags.
Thank you, Philip. That's a very good idea. Yes, so there's a lot of media, social media, things you can do in terms of competitions, draws, and all of that. So I think Facebook Blueprint also has a lot of information on that as well. How often should a business revisit its market research to stay aligned with changing customer needs? Tangela, that's a very good question. As often as possible, because I think if you can get the market's reaction maybe every quarter to whatever you're doing, looking at those insights. The good thing about this, the non-traditional media insights, is that you can easily see this information every week. And maybe you can act on the information on a monthly basis and change based on your customer needs. But just make sure you're still doing that research to help you make decisions based on the humans who actually use your product.
Yeah, and I'll add, we're going to be offering another session at a later point on customer discovery and growth hacking. So Henry is going to be talking about the growth hacking. And just like all of these marketing techniques, it all comes back to, Jocelyn is mentioning, kind of understanding deeply who that customer is and what their biggest pain point is. So, for, just using the handbag as an example, it's like, why is someone buying your handbag versus some other handbag? What is it that they are, and it's not about, saying, well, mine's the best quality, or I have the coolest design, or I have this or I have that. There's some, there's like a deeper need that's being fulfilled, and that's that you have to go and understand. So with an app, or with a product or a service, you're trying to really get down to the core of, why does someone value your product versus some other product. With Kuda Bank, for example, one of the interesting things that they discovered is that people really hated having banking. So, and we oftentimes think of, the unbanked and underbanked, and that people, they're just providing a lower cost option, or a free option, is just a way to get more people to get bank accounts. But it's actually that there was a perception, at least in their market, that If I put my money in the bank, it's more at risk. The bank might steal my money, or the bank might charge me extra fees and take my money. And so when Kuda Bank came out and said, we're going to help you budget, we're going to provide a budgeting app, and we're not going to charge you anything. They actually were able to completely change their relationship with their customers from kind of the enemy who's going to take my money to a friend who's helping me to make more money. And so that was, what they kind of, that was the relationship that they were able to build with their customers. And then they were able to go out and do all of their marketing, and all of their approach was about, identifying people who had a really negative relationship or experience with banks, and we're looking to have a solution that was not a bank. And so Kudo was very explicit about saying, we are we're your budgeting, we're your budgeting buddy, and they built up a whole persona around that. We're helping you. We're helping you to save money, not spend it. Right? We're helping you to achieve your goals, and we're not even charging you any money to help you do that. So if you can really work on work on that, then it's really a constant journey. So back to your time, you're revisiting that, pretty frequently, because the market is always changing, and what people liked 3 months or 6 months ago might not be what they're like now. But the core underlying needs, are definitely there.
Okay, thank you, Philip. There's another question here. I have one more question. How can small businesses like mine in niche markets like gardening identify untapped audience segments through market research? So I think the core thing about this kind of marketing research is going where your usual customers are, and then identifying the ones that are not really served. So I think, that's what I can say in the short time that we have. But maybe we can discuss this a bit later. I think we're running out of time. We have like 3 minutes left to the session. I wanted to give some time to the event organizer to share a few words, and then we can wrap up. Okay, Mohammed, I think we are almost done. I hope you guys found value in this. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a few more firesides to give you a few insights on the African context as well as the global context. And very excited to be working with you on this program, and very excited to see your products and everything that you're doing in the future. Thank you so much for joining us on this. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to share? Okay, guys, so enjoy the rest of your evening. I think it's evening that side. It's 5 p.m. here in Cape Town. So I hope you guys have a good evening. Bye.